So before I get into this video, I just want to say one thing. I'm watching Naruto, and bro, I cannot believe how ugly the Ten Tails is. Like, it's ridiculous. It's like the freaking toon monsters from Yu-Gi-Oh. If you haven't seen them, I'll put some on the screen right now. But like seriously, bro, it's so ugly. So I'm sure by now we've all heard of the so-called Tomato Town Massacre, where 10 people were ruthlessly wiped out, along with the rest of Tomato Town. I'm here to expose the lies pushed onto us by Big Tomato Town and show the world what this really is. The Tomato Town Massacre was an inside job. You may wonder, who would do such a thing to a place as small as Tomato Town? Well, it was none other than the corrupt government of Tomato Town themselves. What's their motive, you may ask? Profit. Using Google Trends, we can see the amount of searches for Tomato Town during Season 3, where the interest in Fortnite was peaked. The chart fluctuates, but stays relatively high during the season. In Season 4, however, we can start to see this die down. No one cared about the small town of Tomato anymore, and the government of Tomato Town knew this and started fearing the worst. During Season 5, searches were even lower than Season 4, and they knew something had to change, not yet wiping out the town because that was too drastic for them. Instead, Tomato Town was converted into a religious sanctuary. And while it did pique interest for a little bit, it quickly died down, as shown from the chart from last year. This was another time to finally wipe it out. After the massacre, interest in Tomato Town increased dramatically, as shown here. This in turn led to more visitation, support, and traction for the forgotten location. However, they needed a scapegoat, someone to blame the whole thing on. Tomato Town's Itachi to the Uchiha incident, if you will. This, of course, is a Leviathan and his unnamed friend. To prove their innocence, let's look at the only piece of condemning evidence provided to us, the song Chug Jug With You by Leviathan himself. Before you is a detailed route of all the different bus routes in the game, intended to show why Tilted Towers is so busy. But in our case, we can use it to highlight one inconsistency in the song. On the right side of the map, only around 12 bus routes will actually lead to Tomato Town being a hot drop for the map. And with locations like Anarchy Acres right next to Tomato Town, it's logical to assume that a Tomato Town will still stay relatively vacant. We can also assume that Leviathan is playing duos, since he only has one ally with him. This means that the 5 other teams, 10 people, or in a perfect lobby, a little more than 10% of the lobby will have to land with them for them to achieve this massacre. Could this mean that the incident was grossly exaggerated? By using the word massacre, we feel increased sympathy to the Tomato Town citizens and an increased hate towards Leviathan. Similar tactics were used in the Boston Massacre to create more British resentment. But alright, let's just say for now that the luck was there for them to get 10 kills. Fine. The second piece of evidence further disproves this theory. One of the first lines in the song is, "My friend just got downed. I revived him. Now we're heading southbound. Now we're in the Pleasant Park streets."
I revived him. Now we're heading southbound. Now we're in the Pleasant Park streets.
But if they really moved southbound from Tomato Town, they would not be in Pleasant Park. There are only 3 other areas leading directly south from Tomato. That would be the unnamed cargo grades, Retail Row, or maybe even Dusty Depot. However, Pleasant Park is clearly west from Tomato Town, nowhere near south. There is no way for them to go from Tomato Town to Pleasant Park. A good portion of the song discusses a house in Tomato Town.
Hey dude, sorry, I found nothing on this safari. I checked the upstairs of that house, but not the underneath yet.
However, if you look here, there are no houses to be found anywhere in Tomato Town. There is a house near Tomato Town in the outskirts, which fine, if you can argue that that house is Tomato Town, then sure. But the song also lies again. The song says, I checked the upstairs of that house, but not the underneath. However, that house did not have a basement to be spoken of, and if he was talking about the first floor of the house, why would he not say the first floor? Why would he say the underneath? That makes it sound like he's discussing a basement, but however, there is no basement as aforementioned. My final piece of evidence really ties it all together. In the chorus of the song, Leviathan says, "You can take me to Moisty Mire, but not to Loot Lake."
You can take me Moisty Mire, but not Loot Lake.
And then, in a later verse of the song, he says, "Can we get a win this weekend?" take me to Loot Lake.
Let me get a win this weekend. Take me to Loot Lake.
Well, which one is it, Leviathan? Would you like to be taken to Loot Lake, or would you like to be taken to Moisey Mire, but specifically not Loot Lake? He clearly has no qualms about lying to him in his song, so how can we trust him that he was the one that wiped out Tomato Town? He could have just not wiped out Tomato Town, and like I said, he's a scapegoat for the whole incident. In conclusion, Leviathan is innocent, and he was framed by the government for an attempt for them to stay irrelevant.